All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are live now. Just checking the stream. Good to see everyone today. Essentially, I'm going to tackle multicolor fonts because it's Font Friday, because I can, essentially. So, yes, a lot happening this week. Bruno, good to see you. Happy. And we are live maybe a minute or so early. Hopefully, that's okay with you. But we're going to tackle this. Let me know if the music is too loud. And Peru is in the house. Good to see you, Peru. Hey, who doesn't like Peru? Huh? Everybody does. Ambition. All right, I'm going to dive right into this, creating multicolor fonts, and you can do this now in Illustrator CC 2018, the latest version, and then in Photoshop CC 2017 is when we announced good old multicolor fonts in Photoshop. And don't be surprised if you see it coming around your way in other apps like InDesign, that sort of thing. I'm not giving anything away, but I think that's an obvious next step. So Brendan, good to see you from Australia. Awesome. Everybody loves Australia. Looks like maybe Russia is in the house. I'm not sure based on that name. Peace to you as well, Kareem. I'm broadcasting from beautiful Denver, Colorado, and we're going to probably get some snow this weekend. So that's kind of what's going on here. I did want to do a couple things. And I'm actually just kind of syncing a font right now. But let's dive into this. I'm going to start out in Illustrator, then we'll dive into Photoshop. They both work the same way. I'm also going to use something called Fontself. All right, so that's the plan. So let's kind of dive into this. Starting simply, I do want to just kind of point out that there is, let's switch over. Yes, Photoshop 2 to my lovely desktop, right? Not much going on here. That is fine because we could sort of launch a browser. And actually what I wanted to point out is if you go under Assets, fonts are available to you through Typekit. So before you even think about making your own, there are fonts that you can actually sync from Typekit. So I can sync fonts from Typekit. You might even want to use these as just guides for the type of font that you want to make, right? And that's what I do right here. So Happy New Year, right? Or great, right? And I can say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a sans serif font that is pretty thick, right? And I can just kind of see what's available out there and maybe use this as a starting point. I actually did because I just synced the font Prohibition, because I kind of wanted to use that as a starting point. But let's kind of dive into kind of what I'm gonna show you. So here again in Illustrator, this is the Prohibition font, and just to give you a preview of what we can also make as well is not only sort of using this as maybe a guide, but you can see I've already made a font right here, and you kind of see the font that I'm working on right now. Okay, so this is what I did. I worked on this a little bit earlier this week on the Illustrator Facebook page, but you can see these are sort of just some letters that I'm working on. And it's really a matter of creating what you want, maybe based on another font, who knows, right? And then syncing it, turning it into a font using something called Fontself Maker. So that is the idea. Does that work for you, David? David Silva in the house, Brazil in the house, Dominican Republic as well. Good to see you. And Netherlands, Malaysia. Very cool. As far away as Italy. Very cool. And again, Fontself is awesome. I'm just going to see if I can just, again, I can get fonts from Typekit, but I want to show you Fontself. Hold on. Because this is what you'd need to make this happen, right? So I could use this plugin for Photoshop, for Illustrator. So just do a search for Fontself. I can post a chat to chat right now. Fontself. Here you are. Right, so this is what this panel is all about. If I just move this over, right, here is Fontself Maker already loaded in and working out brilliantly, okay? But let's start with a very new font, okay? So this is going to be a new font, and what you're going to do is you're going to just drag and drop letters is how that's going to work. So it's like literally making a letter and then dropping it in here, and I can say, hey, you know what? This character is going to be a... See, I'm glad this happened it doesn't know what to do with any of these. So let's just do a new font again really fast, because one thing that didn't happen here is this wasn't grouped. So I do have to make sure all this content is grouped, and then I can drag it in here, and now I'm going to have my uppercase K, right? So I'm going to continue this job on down, going on down the line if I can, dropping in this character. There's the K, okay? All right, but that's the fundamentals, and you can already see as I switch over to this typeface that I'm working on, I'll close this panel. It's going to be doing exactly what I said, sort of using a font as a guide, and that's what I have going on here, if that works for you. All right, let's do this. Dinesh from DC, good to have you here. This is great. But this is what I do, is I'd actually just use Helvetica or Arial or my other font, Prohibition, and then start to make something unique with it, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to make a unique A or a unique B. And typically you're thinking, do you start at the beginning of an alphabet? Not necessarily, because oftentimes you'll take a word, because you want to make sure this all fits together nicely. So you'll take a word like adhesion, might be a good word that you can start with. If you're going to start making one. And you can see that's what I did right here. I said, hey, I'm going to make this word adhesion. And what I did is I'm using a grid. So hopefully you can see that grid. Here's the A. There's my grid work, but essentially going to preferences. Let's check out guides and grid. What I did, I have a grid line every 10 points and subdivisions of about 16. The big thing you need to keep in mind here is just to make sure it's even numbers. Okay, so that's the big thing. And that's about it. So those are the squares that I wanted. Belarus in the house. Oh, good to see you. I've never been to Belarus, and I've not been to Vietnam either. Right, so again, I can start with the word adhesion. That's what I started with. That's what I have here. Okay, say, okay, this looks pretty good. I can start to add maybe some potential gradients right in here as I'm doing right now. Maybe I want this to be, I don't know, maybe a solid color, maybe a gradient is all I'm adding. Okay, I'm going to make sure the light is going to come from, say, the upper, kind of in front, but definitely the upper left. So consider this to be the sun. So this is where the lighting is going to come from. So I can just start to play with this as I start to add, say, for instance, a shadow right in here. So that's what I'm going to do, just kind of dropping in some additional points. Making an A, okay? Starting with this, again, this one word, because basically based on these letters that I'm working on, something kind of like that. It's kind of what I'm thinking. I just like this. I like this sharp shadow, that shadow that kind of comes down. So that's the idea. All right. Yeah, so I would love for Fontself to be a free, something free for everyone, but they're not an Adobe company, so we can't really give it away for free. I wish we could. But that's the idea, just coming in here, sort of deciding a character to create, starting even diving into this D, for instance, and making this letter. Okay, and that's how that was done. Okay, that's how I started making all these letters. As I come over here and I turn this on, you can see A, B, C, D. And you can see what I'm doing here is starting to work on the uppercase. You need not only to do the uppercase, but the lowercase. But as you can see right in here, if we look at each one of these characters, they're all pretty similar. So as soon as you have one, you can start to build off more. Because what is an A? You have this A. Based on an A, and regardless of the font that you're using, you could make a, let's ungroup this. Make a G, right? So we go from A to G. So once you build out that one word, which is just adhesion as an example, there's other words, I can't remember some of the others. But from there, I can start to sort of make this G based on just a couple characters, because it can seem pretty daunting if you're making a font, but it actually can come across, it could be really quick since everything is based on the basic letters and adhesion. All right. Yes, Kevin, how is everybody doing, huh? How's everybody doing this fine Friday? How is everyone? Kevin, how are you? Kareem? Hopefully everybody's doing well. Again, just starting with these basics. I also started to make this a little bit more unique. I'm going to join these two shapes because I thought it would be maybe kind of cool in this case to, what if I round these corners? So do I round this? That's one option I was playing with, adding curves in like that. Again, the goal here is just to make a fun, modern font that is very contemporary in color. So that's the idea. Miriam, you're not bad, are you? From there, that's what I'm going to start making, is making all of these letters. I still need to work on that. Again, it's just going to be a lot of copying and pasting, and I can hold down the Alt key and Shift key, move this down like this, and start to work on this B. Since I have those grid lines, everything is going to start snapping into place really easily, right? So I can have that snap to there. I can take this, snap that to something like that. And then adding in those shadows. So the B will start looking something like that is the idea. I'm going to show you how you can make these fonts like super fast. Again, that looks pretty good. I have this B done. Can the fonts be made in Fontself be exported? Yes. The file is going to be an OTF file. Yeah, an OTF. So I'll do that actually right now. But you can see I just made this B. Super easy. I need to work on all the capital letters, and that's what I'm doing right now, is working on all of them. I have the lowercase letters. Again, it's just going to be copying and pasting. What about the C? Is the uppercase and the lower C, how are they related? Right, as I start to build that out. Right, extending and stretching and all that fun stuff. That's all I'm doing. Have a go to be about the middle. I'll often have guides, but you have sort of the different guidelines. Let's make sure that is turned on. Guides, show guides. I can have different guides. For the baseline, the X height would be, say, right about there. Or actually, no. Let's go down here. Let me show you. This is the X height. It's actually right here. So it's like four squares from the top. That's the X height. And then the very top you could see right there. Oh, Juan Pablo, you know what? You just made my day. Thank you, my friend. That's so kind of you. Saying, when am I going to be a guest for a 3-day stream? I'm typically streaming most of the time when I'm not traveling. So that's kind of the idea. I will be there next week. We have UX design live stream from Tuesday to Thursday. That's happening next week. That's going to be on behance.net/live. Yeah, so that's the thing. Kevin Schneider, good point. So you can have different weights within a font family, because I'm creating a typeface, right? You're going to have an entire font family, different weights within it. Italics, for instance. What about all the different special characters as well, you know? It gets pretty robust, but it's super fun. And I think it'd be really cool to do different colors. Exactly, okay? So yeah, here's another way. You want to do a quick font? Check this out. Let's go back to this one, selecting this. Let's take this entire font right here that you see, and maybe I want to make a 3D font. So let's do an extrude and bevel based on that text, right? And I could do something like this. Let's do an isometric left, or I could do isometric right. So as you're talking, Kevin, there could be sort of different versions of this font, whether it's pointing to the left or to the right, and being able to pick and choose which one you want out of those two. So let's take down the extrusion depth, just like this. This could be my font. Let's click OK. And let's expand appearance. And then let's actually colorize this. Edit colors. Let's recolor artwork. Instead of this being all blue what if we condense this down into something better? Again, just thoughts as you start to design your own font. So just going to move this over. I really need to simplify these colors because it looks like there's about 15 different colors going on here. And this is kind of the long way of doing things, quite frankly. I need to be able to reassign this artwork to maybe these triad colors, for instance. All right. But again, this is my job as a designer to come in here and get this to look good based on what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I know how to pick ugly colors. But how easy is that, by the way? I just took a font, I extruded it, I did an extruded bevel. Now I have all these characters, okay? So I can see them all if I select, say, this font right here. It looks like I've ungrouped it initially. Oh, help me. Ungroup. Selecting this font, there it is. Here's my A, here's my B, here's my C. Super easy, right? Yes, exactly, Matthias. It looks lame. I'm not saying the color needs so much help, but kind of, you know, based on current trends, I would definitely change this up. Like, say for instance, what if part of this font was transparent, okay? And honestly, when I've expanded this, what I could have done is I could have made sure that it made all the different sides, even though you don't see them, and I can manipulate those separate sides, whatever. All right, cool. Thanks, I'm having a good hair day. I put like nothing in my hair, by the way. I just like put conditioner in it. But anyways, so that's what I do. So from this A, how would you do this? This is a grouped item right over here. See it right over here? I just need to rename that to be A, right? Rename this to be B. You can see that right over here. Rename this to be C. On down the line. D, you get the idea. Oh, by the way, I screwed that up because this is an uppercase C and an uppercase D, right? As I start to map those out. Once they're grouped, it's going to make it really easy to make a font, as I'm going to do right now. I'll switch back to this one because this one's a little bit more fleshed out. I have all of these grouped. You can see them right here. They're all named, okay, except for these. Let's not worry too much about those, but you can see the A right here. You can see the B, the C, on down the line. Clear down to, you guessed it, Z. All the fonts are, all the layers are named appropriately. You guys are funny. Matthias, you're funny. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm just like, I don't really, it's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, the key to good hair is honestly like not washing it every day. Just don't wash it every day, right? Because it's just gonna, your hair is gonna be like so much more healthy. There might be a little bit of something in here actually. I might have put a little bit of something in here. A little bit of shaping cream. So I did put like a dab, but it's hardly even worth mentioning. Okay, so I can see all these fonts right here, selecting them all. A, B, C, D, on down the line. Let's open up Fontself. Okay, let's create a new font. Okay, let's take all these characters, right? All of these, they're all grouped. Dragging them right in here. They happen to be A to Z, but let's just do any character. It doesn't matter because I have them all named appropriately in my layers panel. All right, Miriam. See you next week for SD week. Yeah, we're gonna XD. I think you mean XD. Adobe. We have a sort of a UX stream, so everything user experience, user interfaces, that sort of thing. So don't think it's just XD. Boom, Juan Pablo. First of all, Juan Pablo, these are hot colors. Anytime you're going from pink to teal, that's like a hot color set right now. Okay, I'll tell you what's 80s is this one. Boom. This is dated word art. This almost looks like word art, but it's always that fine line between, you know, something dated and something really contemporary, I feel. Okay. So we can see, look what it did. Guess what? All my layers were named appropriately. And then sure enough, right in here, oh, thank you very much, Fontself. You called this A like you should. You called this B like you should. You called this E like you should. Right? So, Jorge, once you have all your layers named and all your various letters grouped, it makes it really easy to change a font. Oh, you're funny one, Pablo. Another thing I did, by the way, since you're dealing with creating your own typeface, okay, and I'm going to make a font out of it in a second, but this is my own typeface, I will often use, since it's going to be a multicolor font, I want to make sure the colors I'm using are global fonts. So these are, or excuse me, global colors. So you can see all these colors, and unfortunately, gradient colors cannot be global, which totally is lame. If I'm being honest. But all the shadows are a global color. So I can just double click on this. Say, hey, you know what? Since it's a global color, I can tweak it to be a different color. Let's preview it. And we can see I'm tweaking that. So if we feel like it's getting a little 80s or whatever, we can always jump in and adjust accordingly, right? I'm just really into bright colors like that. It's like electric, you know, but again, we'll just kind of tweak this and make sure this is dark, but not too dark. And make sure it still has a hint of that red in there. So it's like a little bit of pink, and there we have it. Based on those global colors, here we are. You can see all the fonts, all the different characters in here. And if you select one, you can adjust the spacing, because look right over here. There might be too much space. For this A, that's like a lot of space. 50 pixels, I want to take that down to 0, right? 0 pixels on the left and the right, like that. And that's what I want to do, is make sure that there's not a lot of spacing. Actually, on the right side, yeah, no, that's actually pretty good. Maybe here I'll put maybe 10, for instance, if I want to. But just give it 10 pixels, right? You don't have to worry about doing that for every character. Actually, if I go into advanced, I could see the different letters right up here. I can change this. Let's type something else in. Adhesion, between the E and the H, look at how much space that is. That's horrible. Let's fix it, right? Let's adjust the kerning between the E. And what about that H? Let's select that H. Let's take this to, again, down to 0, 0, right? Getting rid of that gap right there. Can you make them a graphic style? Maybe change that globally. Yeah, that might work too, Kevin. Yeah. Yes, Kevin, you're exactly right. Kerning like never ends. It's a long process. And what I've actually done for this is, like, I know that most of these characters, I really want the left and the right to be about pretty much 0. There should be like 0 pixels between all of them. There might be another way, I gotta see, but I just actually go through and I just zero out all these where it says 50. And yeah, I'm skipping some, but I can start to see it get a little bit more compact. I'm gonna, ooh, here we go. This is what I'm looking for right here. Set the spacing around each glyph to 0. Clear space. Yes, clearing all that spacing. Boom, that's what I'm looking for. I knew that was there. Made the spacing for between each letter, took it down to 0, which is awesome. So we still have some of these kerning issues, as you know, between the D and the H and the E. So here's that E. Let's see if I can take this down into, actually this H right here. Let's make this minus 30. And you can see I'm closing that gap. And on the other side of the H, this should really be like 20, like that. Welcome to designing your own typeface. It's all the details. Oh, Felicia loves the font. Yeah, I'm struggling with the color, to be honest with you. Like, I think this is one of those cases where I'm going to be changing the color a lot and then deciding from there, right? Because I'm making a font, so this assumes this is something that I'm going to reuse, and I kind of just want different versions of this font. But that's all I'm doing is kind of coming in here and adjusting each one of these, even for the E, left side, -20, right? Closing that gap right there. So that's what I'd want to do. By the way, let's go to I should be able to manually adjust this a little more. But again, kerning, there we go. This is what I'm looking for. If I go into kerning, I can actually take a look at each one of these. I'm going to see between the A and the R, I can adjust the spacing right in here. I should be able to. A little bit. All right, cool. Got that done. I got the spacing all squared away. Here's my font. If I click right here, it says, hey, you know what? If it's color font, guess what? A lot of desktops actually can't even interpret color fonts. So you're not going to see it when you go and view in a font manager, right? So, because they're not interpreting the colors. But what does interpret the colors? Illustrator CC 2018, Photoshop 2017. You get the idea, right? So from there, I have this font. I just created the lowercase. Let's click export, make this good gradient. That's what we'll call it. We're giving it a name, clicking OK. It's going to make this OTF font. Okay, so this open type font face. Thank you, Felicia. Yeah, so I just don't know if this will work for all scenarios. So I want to do one that's even more colorful. All right, so let's see what happens right over here. Here's my font, right? The good gradient font. Double clicking on that. It's going to show me, yeah, hey, you know what? I don't have any colors because my font system here, the font book doesn't interpret those colors, but we will install the good gradient like we're doing right now. Okay. So, okay, so there it is. There's my gradient. It says, hey, oh, actually multiple copies of it are installed. It's fine, because you know what? I did this a little bit earlier to make sure it was working. Let's zoom out. Good Friday. Actually, we'll do font Friday. Put this on 2 lines because we're going to try this right now. Font Friday, self-proclaimed. It's coming here. Don't have to worry about this. I could give this font to anybody who has Illustrator CC 2018 or Photoshop. And all I need to do is right up here from my character panel, I can type in good gradient. There it is. There's my font, and I've switched to it just like that. Kerning is still kind of messed up. That's okay. I can always come in here and adjust accordingly like I'm doing right now. And I typically will use the new, here we go, properties panel right here and take a look at this. Maybe adjust this to 50. Bring that in like that, okay? That's all I'm doing. You can see it obviously comes through. This is actually a font, and I can take this with me everywhere. If I give it to somebody who has CC 2017 or something like that, or an older version, it's just going to outline the fonts, but it will still give you all those vector properties. Yeah, oh yeah, thank you, Orion. Yeah, so ligatures. Ligatures are, and you'll do ligatures maybe if it's like a T or a Y where you want this lower part to extend into the letter next to it. You basically are making those 2 characters one character. So hopefully that makes. Juan Pablo specs for running Creative Cloud. I would just go to the minimum specs, but essentially I would just probably pick up a MacBook Pro if you could. I would probably get a MacBook Pro 15-inch. Maybe not even one of the newer ones that have the USB 3. I'd probably go with a refurbished 2016 is what I'd do. So yeah. There we are. Same thing in Photoshop, by the way. I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to jump into Photoshop. I was still working on this is just another 80s font. Looks like GameCube is what somebody said, but you can see everything is kind of labeled in their various layers. And this, is in Photoshop. So you can do the same thing in Photoshop. This is one that I have. This is another sort of font that I was thinking about doing, something like this. So I have this word fun. This is a case where I definitely might have some ligatures, right? Yes, exactly. Kevin Schneider, expand the font and recolor artwork. Yeah, good call, my friend. You know what's up. That's what I would do. But same thing, right? So we have the same panel, so it works the same way in Photoshop CC 2017 and 2018. Let me just open that up. Window extensions. Fontself Maker for Photoshop. Looks like the United Colors of Benetton. That's cool. Pretty much already did it here. Let's go new font. Let's take these characters. Typically, you just want to make sure your layers are named correctly. These could be smart objects, by the way. But I can take those three, drop them in here, and say, hey, you know what? You could make these anything. It could be anything, but it's still going to be reading from this name right here. So it says capital F, lowercase u, lowercase n. You can see them right here. Oh, shoot, it did not bring them in. Ah, lame. Oh, you know what? I haven't installed the latest updates. That might be the issue. I didn't install the latest update of Fontself Maker. Again, Fontself Maker is not an Adobe product, but a shout out to those fine folks. And you can just go to fontself.com to find out more. Matthias, you mentioned toothpaste, but this does look like toothpaste. Yeah, Janet, yeah, this looks like toothpaste, totally. But it's super cool, right? Super fun to work with. I literally did this. I did this text with the smudge brush. I literally just used the smudge tool to make this. And all I did is I smudged those colors in the background. And I smudged and made an F and a U and an N. With that done, click export. We'll call this toothpaste. It's kind of like Dr. Seuss's toothpaste or something. That's what Dr. Seuss paste. Maybe not. There's my toothpaste font. Oh, thank you, Mr. Hugo. You like it. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and open up that exported font. Again, there weren't many characters here because, again, I'm just showing this as an example. We could install it from there. Our toothpaste font. It installed it. It's available. Going from just layers to actual editable text. Again, I'm going to change this from Adobe Clean. Let's make this larger. Tooth. Let's go right over here. Here's my font. There you go. Toothpaste font. Since you think it looks like toothpaste, it works for me. Increase the size. That's one thing. So I want to be mindful of the size. I want to make sure this is pretty large. I think I actually want to kind of take a look at the size of some of these other glyphs, because there's these Mac glyphs available. So there's actually multicolor fonts already installed. I'd want to make sure these are like pretty large essentially, because already since I've scaled it up pretty large. And it's bitmap. I want to just be aware of the size. Toothpaste is fun. So that's what it is. It is it's candy flavored toothpaste, which sounds kind of gross if you ask me. Don't you think, Janet? Sergio? If you had a candy flavored toothpaste. Showing you a couple more things right in here. There are additional fonts that you might be able to get a hold of too. And all I'm going to do is just change it to a couple of those. Going right over here. Let's just open up my properties. Apple Color Emoji font. So here's Apple Color Emoji font that's included in Photoshop CC 2017 and 2018. But right in here, I can add this phone. So let's drop in a guy. He's like, I don't know. I want to say that he's 512 pixels by 512 pixels. But either way, that doesn't look too good when it's larger. Nonetheless, you have all these fun emojis in here that I can use. Cool. Those are glyphs, Apple Color Emoji. Let me show you a couple more real fast, then I'll kind of call it a day. We have Emoji 1. I think that actually might be an Android type of font. Abalone. Look, keep an eye out for Abalone. I can't remember who made Abalone, but this is really cool. Oh, I think this is Maria. What is her name? Maria Grunlund. I think Maria Grunlund made the Abalone font. And it's absolutely gorgeous because she is an amazing designer. So that's one font to keep an eye out for. You might be able to find it on her website. I don't know if it's longer available, like if it's for free or what. Oh yeah, earlier this week, a little shout out to the Adobe Live team. Look at this. Oh, they made this font this week. Actually, no, the community did. They just turned it into a font, as you can see right here. Kathleen Martin and the guest that we had. So these were a community created font on Adobe Live. So you can go to behance.net/live. That's where it was created. Yeah, you can create emojis. You can create really anything that you want. And again, emojis are already provided in here. You're not going to get, these are all going to be bitmap images. So you're not going to really get the vector assets here, but that's what's available in there. Let's kind of change up the font again, because there are a couple more that I actually need to flag. There's my font, the Good Gradient font. Let's just go ahead and star that one. Here's my other color font that I made, right? So this one's a little less 80s. See? That one looks a little bit better, huh? Let's go up. And Aries font is absolutely beautiful. And this has to be all caps, AIRES. I do not remember who made this one either, and I deeply apologize. But I'm just giving you some names to search on so you can maybe get a hold of these fonts. But that's about it for me. Again, Fontself Pro will enable you to make those multicolor fonts. There's my candy font. Oh, maybe I was. This is an older one I was working on. Look, check this out. That was my candy font that I was working on. All right, seeing if you guys have any more questions for me, let me know. Oh, Juan Pablo. Oh, they're the shortest ones on Adobe. That's interesting. I think I do a lot of Facebook, and then I just realize that I go shorter on Facebook, and then sometimes I don't know. I think we noticed numbers start to drop off about 40 minutes. So that's why I kind of go maybe a little shorter. Here's Popsky color font. You can see right here. Next up, we have Playbox as well. Playbox font, super fun. And you get the idea. Oh, Brendan, you are too kind. You guys are just too kind to me. I try not to go too fast though as well. Here's another Trajan color font right in here. But really what you're going to want to do, unless you really need Photoshop, like I needed it in this case for creating this font, I really needed to use the smudge tool and get this sort of effect to create a multicolor font in Photoshop. But it's the same process as in Illustrator. Illustrator is going to give me more control. Even if I don't like this color, I can create outlines, right? So I just broke this up. And I don't know, I don't remember who recommended this. Let's break this up a couple more times. But I could always break this apart and recolor it because somebody actually mentioned doing that. I do have this. I did this little drop shadow. That's going to make the coloring a little bit more unique, but I can always use recolor artwork to change this up as I'm doing right now. So, all right, everyone. Well, have a wonderful day. I've actually gone for 40 minutes. I started a little bit earlier. Brendan, I don't have a font library that I can make available for sale, nor would I even sell it to you. I would just give it to you for free, just so you know. But yes, I do need to do that. Check this out. I want to show you this. When you're using recolor artwork, click edit. So initially you're given this, okay? Just tries to assign all these colors. I'm going to go to edit, and then I'm going to come right over here and I'm going to link the harmony colors. So it locks them all together. So now I can shift this entirely over to the other side, and then it changes the colors entirely and just makes actually just recoloring artwork a lot easier. Cool? All right. Janet, Fontself Maker, it's essentially if you're going to make an actual font, that's when it's definitely essential. So that's the short of it. And I don't think it's too expensive, and I just think they're super nice there. I might be able to get a hold of maybe a discount code for you, and I can take a look at that. So you can always kind of hit me up on social media. You can see down below at Paul Trani. I can try to get a discount code for you if you're interested in Fontself Pro, because I think they gave me one last year and I might be able to renew it. So that's about it. Thank you, Matthias and Felicia and Brennan and Kevin and Janet and everybody joining me today. Tune in on Monday. We're going to have a couple more live streams on Facebook and YouTube. I think Terry White's going to be on YouTube. So tune into his at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And then Tuesday through Thursday is going to be all about XD. We have an update for January coming. So thanks so much for watching. Everybody have a wonderful day. I just really appreciate you guys. You guys are my designer family, and I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. And just follow me on social media for more info. Thanks.